Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Clash of Champions review. And Clash of Champions, of course, was from the Amway Center in Orlando, and the pay-per-view just ended a half hour ago. But Clash of Champions, I have to say, I thought it was a decent show, in my opinion. It wasn't terrible as I thought it was going to be, but overall, it was a decent show. And we had, of course, the Triple Threat winner-take-all ladder match to crown the Undisputed Intercontinental Champion, Sami Zayn versus AJ Styles versus Jeff Hardy. We had Bobby Lashley versus Apollo Crews for the United States Championship. The Street Profits versus Andrade and Angel Garza for the Raw Tag Team Championship. And, of course, we had Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton in an ambulance match. And cousin versus cousin, Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso for the Universal Championship. And, like I said, the show was a decent show. It wasn't terrible as I thought it was going to be. You know, WWE, you know them when, they try to hype up their pay-per-view shows. They always end up failing and, delivering garbage for their go-home shows. So, when their go-home shows for a major pay-per-view, come, you're like, oh, I'm not hyped for this pay-per-view. I'm not hyped up for it. So that's what it is. That's what it is with WWE nowadays. But I'm going to jump right into the review. So we had the match that was on the Kickoff Show. It was Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura versus Lucha House Party, which I didn't get to see. And Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura end up winning the match. Not surprised by that. They retained the SmackDown Tag Team Championship. So, not surprised. So now I'm going to start with the regular matches that were on the card. So Clash of Champions opened with the Triple Threat ladder match. Winner takes all ladder match to crown the Undisputed Intercontinental Champion. Sami Zayn versus AJ Styles versus Jeff Hardy. And this was a really awesome ladder match. This was a good ladder match. This was one of the best ladder matches that WWE has done in a while. And this was just entertaining. This whole match from beginning up until the end. I mean, even though WWE gave the winner away in the match that we saw on Friday on SmackDown, I'm like, why would you book a triple threat on SmackDown this past Friday when we're going to see them three go at it on Sunday? So we had the triple threat on SmackDown on Friday, minus the ladders, minus it being a ladder match. So Sami Zayn ended up winning the match on SmackDown. And I was like, you know what? Sami Zayn won this triple threat. I'm like, I wouldn't be surprised if he wins the titles, both of the Intercontinental titles, and becomes the Undisputed Intercontinental Champion on Sunday. But we'll get to that. But when the match started, all three of these guys were looking up at both of the Intercontinental titles. Styles then ended up attacking Sami Zayn to start it off. Jeff Hardy got involved and he was working on both Sami Zayn and Styles. And he ended up whipping Sami into Styles into the corner. Hardy ended up dropping both Sami Zayn and Styles. Jeff Hardy then ended up keeping control of the match. He rolled out to the floor to grab a ladder. Jeff Hardy then ended up bringing the ladder to the ring apron, but Styles ended up delivering a baseball slide to to the ladder into Jeff Hardy, and it slammed Jeff Hardy in his ribs. And so Styles ended up launching himself over the top to the floor, and he ended up dropping Jeff Hardy with the right hand. Later on in the match, we had this, vintage Jeff Hardy, where Jeff Hardy ended up climbing to the ladder while, it was on the floor. He went to the top of the ladder, and he delivered a awesome looking swanton bomb from the top of the ladder onto Sami Zayn, who was laid out on one of the ladders. The ladder ended up, bending, and both of them, were on the floor. But, that's vintage Jeff Hardy there, where he is on top of the ladder, delivers the swanton bomb. So later on in the match, you had Sami Zayn, and he had handcuffs. Sami Zayn ended up clamping one of the handcuffs to Jeff Hardy's earlobe, which, Jeff Hardy has the piercing in his earlobe, where it's like a stretched down piercing. So Sami Zayn ended up clamping one of the handcuffs to Jeff Hardy's earlobe, which this was done out on the floor. So Sami Zayn ended up handcuffing Jeff Hardy's earlobe, and he ended up cuffing the other part of the handcuffs to a ladder. So Jeff Hardy's ear was handcuffed to the ladder. Sami Zayn then ended up bringing in another ladder where Styles was still in the ring. And we saw Jeff Hardy was trying to get, the handcuff off of his ear. Sami Zayn went to try and handcuff Styles to the ring rope. And Sami then ended up standing a ladder up. So Styles ended up trying to fight Sami Zayn off, because Sami Zayn was still trying to handcuff Styles to the ring rope. So Styles then ended up sending Sami face first into the ladder. Styles then delivered the suplex, but when Styles ended up standing up, we saw that Sami Zayn had handcuffed himself to Styles, which I thought that was very funny. So Styles ended up stomping away on Sami. Sami Zayn was just loving it. He was smiling and laughing at how he handcuffed himself to Styles. Styles ended up trying to climb the ladder, and Sami Zayn was just anchoring Styles down, preventing Styles to not climb all the way up the ladder to retrieve the titles, the Intercontinental titles. So Jeff Hardy got back to his feet, and his earlobe was still cuffed to the ladder. He was trying to bring the ladder into the ring. Styles then ended up climbing the ladder with Sami Zayn on his shoulders. Jeff Hardy then ended up bringing the ladder into the ring. It was the same ladder that is cuffed to his earlobe. And then we see Sami Zayn ends up having the key to the handcuffs. So he starts unhooking himself because Styles was fighting with Jeff Hardy. So then Sami then unlocked his cuff, his handcuff that he was cuffed to, slides it out. He then ends up cuffing Styles to the ladder. And so because of that, Sami Zayn ended up climbing up the other side of the ladder. Sami Zayn then climbed up the ladder. He grabbed the two Intercontinental titles. He retrieves them. And there you go. Sami Zayn is the undisputed Intercontinental Champion. And just like I said, I was right when I talked about the triple threat in the SmackDown review on Friday, where Sami Zayn ended up stealing the victory, where it was going to go Styles, but Sami Zayn ended up moving Styles out of there, and he picked up the win. And so Sami Zayn won the triple threat on SmackDown on Friday. And I said I wouldn't be surprised if Sami Zayn is the Undisputed Intercontinental Champion come Sunday. And look, I was right. But yeah, Sami Zayn, new Undisputed Intercontinental Champion, which, I'm happy for Sami Zayn. And it's possibly, WWE trying to apologize to Sami by putting the Intercontinental Championship back on him, having two Intercontinental Championships around him, because Sami Zayn, after WrestleMania, he didn't want to come to work. He didn't want to because of COVID. So I think this is a way of WWE, trying to apologize to Sami Zayn. I know, I may be wrong for that though, but that's my opinion. But I think it's just that. So post-match, Kayla Braxton ended up interviewing Sami Zayn on the stage. And so he ended up cutting off Kayla Braxton, and he declares himself and still the Intercontinental Champion. So we saw Sami end up raising both titles in the air, and he ended up heading to the back. And that was that. But this match was awesome. This was a good ladder match. And like I said, one of the best ladder matches WWE has done in a while. This was just an awesome match from beginning to end. Jeff Hardy doing the Swanton Bomb from the top of the ladder onto Sami Zayn, on the outside. That was a highlight moment. Sami Zayn handcuffing Jeff Hardy's earlobe to the ladder. That was cool. That was never done before. Randy Orton did that where he stuck a screwdriver through Jeff Hardy's earlobe, which I remember that was very hard to watch. But overall, awesome ladder match. And Sami Zayn coming out victorious as the Undisputed Intercontinental Champion. And then we saw R-Truth. R-Truth was backstage. Yes, the Jobber Ninja Turtle 24/7 Championship, this garbage of a title, was featured on this show. R-Truth was backstage, and he had a disguise where he was like dressed up as an old guy. He was gray, had a beard, and had a hat. Apparently, it was shown on the Kickoff Show. But Truth was backstage, and he ended up entering the referee's room. And one of the referees was like, "Oh, Truth, what are you doing in here?" And he was like, "Oh, little Jimmy, you led me to the wrong room." And so then we see Drew Gulak ends up rolling R-Truth up. And there you go. Drew Gulak is the new Jobber Ninja Turtle 24/7 champion. Gulak ran off with the title. That was that. Do not care for this piece of shit Jobber Ninja Turtle 24/7 title. Why is this title still on TV? It's getting unfunny and, annoying. Can we please retire this title? So then next we had Zelina Vega versus Asuka for the Raw Women's Championship. And this was supposed to be on the Kickoff Show. But apparently WWE ended up moving it to the main card. There was two matches that WWE had to cancel that were on this card. One of them was Shayna Bazer and Nia Jax versus the Riot Squad. And, it was announced that Nia Jax and Shayna Bazer weren't medically cleared to compete, which I will get to another person who was unavailable to compete at Clash of Champions for tonight. I was about to call it Night of Champions, but yeah, they called that, years ago. Oh, man. Rosalina Vega versus Asuka. The match itself, it was okay. Wasn't great or perfect by any means. Asuka ended up starting off the match where she ended up striking at Zelina Vega. Asuka tried to go for a quick pin to Zelina. Zelina ended up delivering a shot to Asuka's arm. They ended up trading holds. Asuka went for a armbar, but Zelina Vega ended up fighting it off. And at the end of the match, Asuka ended up locking in the Asuka lock on Zelina Vega. Zelina Vega was quickly tapping out. So there you go. Asuka ended up winning the match, retaining the Raw Women's Championship. Post-match, Charlie Caruso, she ended up interviewing Asuka in the ring. Charlie Caruso ended up asking Asuka about Zelina Vega putting up a fight. Asuka then ended up telling Charlie Caruso that Zelina Vega is like a firecracker. It's small, but dangerous. So she went on to say that Zelina Vega was not ready for her tonight, for Asuka tonight. So Zelina Vega got up on her feet. Asuka extended her hand for Zelina Vega to shake her hand. But Zelina Vega ended up shaking her head no. Zelina Vega ended up doing a bow to Asuka to show respect. So Asuka ended up bowing back. And then Zelina Vega ended up kicking Asuka. Asuka was pissed off. She ended up yelling in Japanese. And that was basically that. But the match itself was okay. Wasn't great or perfect by any means. But it was an okay match. Next we had Apollo Crews versus Bobby Lashley for the United States Championship. This was a pretty decent match. When the match started, Bobby Lashley ended up taking Apollo Crews down for a quick pin attempt. And Apollo Crews ended up kicking out. Lashley and Crews went back and forth. They ended up on the floor. Lashley tried to bring Apollo Crews in from the ring apron, but Apollo Crews ended up nailing Bobby Lashley with a kick to Lashley's head. Crews delivered a crossbody from the top, and Lashley ended up kicking out at 2. Ricochet was also out there. He was by Apollo Crews' side. Of course, you had MVP out there. And at the end of the match, you had Lashley locking in the Hurt Lock on Apollo Crews. Apollo Crews then quickly tapped out. So there you go. Bobby Lashley ended up winning the match and retaining the United States Championship. And post-match, we saw Ricochet end up helping Apollo Crews up the ramp. Bobby Lashley was still taunting Apollo Crews from the ring. So that was that. Overall, it was a decent match. Then we saw the Raw Tag Team Championship match. The Street Profits versus Andrade and Angel Garza. And I'm like, how many times have we seen the Street Profits and Andrade and Garza go at it? I mean, it's been 6 months since this whole feud or rivalry has been going. This has been happening since WrestleMania. And it's just the same match every single time. But this was garbage. This match was terrible. So you had the Street Profits end up winning the match, retain the Raw Tag Team Championship. We had Dawkins end up hitting the Sky High, and he went for the pin, And apparently there was a botch with the referee here where Dawkins went for the cover and Andrade kicked out, but the referee ended up counting 3 and then the bell rang. So apparently this is all in controversy here, with the referee's decision here where the ref ended up botching the 3 count and not seeing Andrade end up kicking out. So what this means is that we're possibly going to get another rematch. We're going to get another rematch between these guys. I lost count on how many matches we've seen Andrade, Garza, and the Street Profits in. Like I said, this has been happening since WrestleMania. Are we going to get a Hell in a Cell match between these guys? Since Hell in a Cell is the next pay-per-view? I wouldn't be surprised. Oh man, I'm tired of seeing Andrade and Garza versus the Street Profits. This is WWE's tag team division right here. The tag team division on both Raw and SmackDown are fucking terrible. Garbage. So it's like there's no other tag teams that the Street Profits could face. So yeah, we got Andrade and Garza for the 1,000th time. Overall, match was terrible. So, and then apparently there was news that after this match, news broke out that Garza is injured, could be injured. So there you go. Now Garza is injured. And then we got a promo for the WWE Draft, which is happening in 2 weeks. It's going to begin on SmackDown, on the October 9th edition of SmackDown. And then it's going to end on the October 12th edition of Monday Night Raw. So there you go. Hopefully WWE delivers a decent draft and not fuck it up. So they better not fuck up this draft. I swear, they better not fuck it up. This better be a good, decent draft. So then we saw Kayla Braxton. Kayla Braxton was backstage with Drew Gulak, who earlier in the night just won the shitty Jobber Ninja Turtle 24/7 title. Gulak says that he wasn't scheduled for the show tonight, but he has a coach. Now he always has to be ready. And he said that he was backstage warming up when he saw R-Truth and that he got the pin to win the 24/7 title. So he ended up saying that, he ended up joking about dedicating the win to Akira Tozawa, who, of course, on Monday Night Raw last week, him and his Foot Clan were in the water. There was a shark attack. So it looked like Tozawa got attacked by the shark. That was fucking terrible. That whole shit that we saw on Monday night. So then we saw R-Truth ends up sneaking up from behind on Drew Gulak. He ends up decking Gulak, rolled him up. There you go. R-Truth is now the Jobber Ninja Turtle 24/7 champion for the 1,000th time. God awful. Let's retire this title, please. Please, WWE. Please retire this title. It's not funny anymore. It's not entertaining. This title has go-away heat from the fans. The fans don't want to see this fucking garbage of a title on TV anymore. We are all tired of it. Please retire it. Now I'm going to keep saying that until this title is fucking retired by WWE. I'm going to start sounding like a broken record. I'm sick of I'm sick of seeing the title on TV. So then we had Bayley come out. the SmackDown Women's Champion Bayley. She, of course, was carrying a chair. She raised it on the ramp. Of course, the pyro went off. Bayley ended up placing her SmackDown Women's Championship on the chair. She ended up taking the mic. She ended up saying that it sucks that Nikki Cross is unable to compete tonight. Bayley ended up saying that she was looking forward to Nikki Cross proving the world wrong and beating her because she doesn't have Sasha in her corner. So Bayley ended up going on mocking Nikki Cross, saying that she even got new gear for her. So apparently, I got news on Nikki Cross as to why she didn't appear on SmackDown on Friday, because she wasn't even there on Friday night, and she wasn't, of course, present tonight at Clash of Champions. So this is the news of why Nikki Cross was unavailable for her Clash of Champions match against Bayley, and as to why she was not present on SmackDown. So according to Dave Meltzer from the Wrestling Observer Radio, he ended up saying that Nikki Cross was not backstage on SmackDown on Friday. Meltzer ended up saying that if she's at Clash of Champions, she's there. He said, I asked on Saturday morning if she was going to be there. And he ended up saying that nobody got back to him, which is your answer, which Meltzer ended up saying. So, Nikki Cross, maybe, this could be COVID related or precautionary type thing here. But apparently, news broke out that there was a COVID outbreak. WWE issued a statement and that there was a COVID outbreak because apparently there was a party. There was an NXT superstar that threw a party and that other trainees attended the party. It was said that there have been a number of positive tests this week among trainees and staff members, and that it was noted that talents have been advised to quarantine themselves. This is coming from PW Insider. So WWE issued this statement on the latest COVID outbreak in NXT. WWE said that as part of ongoing testing protocols, WWE completed its second round of weekly COVID testing on Tuesday. Individuals that tested positive will quarantine for 14 days, receive medical care, and then will only be cleared when they are symptom-free and test negative. Additionally, extensive contact tracing has taken place and other individuals have been placed in 14-day quarantine and will then only be cleared after they test negative. So apparently, who could have been that NXT star that threw that party? Could it have been Killian Dane, Nikki Cross's husband? Maybe that's why Nikki Cross wasn't on SmackDown and couldn't compete at Clash of Champions tonight. That's my guess. Nikki Cross maybe possibly out due to COVID. So the whole Nikki Cross, Nia Jax, Shayna Bazer being out of action for Clash of Champions. Maybe Nia Jax and Shayna Bazer, possibly out due to COVID or precautionary things going on. So who knows? Maybe that's the case. So Bayley ended up saying that she's our role model and will not let us down. She ended up saying that she has extended an offer for anyone on SmackDown to come challenge for the title. So Bayley ended up calling for the referee to come in and declare her the winner because no one came out in the few seconds. So the referee came in. Bayley's happy. She's jumping up and down. And then out came Asuka. Really? You have Asuka, the Raw Women's Champion, come out to face Bayley just for them to make Asuka a double champion? I mean, this match was not needed. It shouldn't have been on the show. If you're not going to do the match, then don't do it. Book it on some other pay-per-view. Book it at Hell in a Cell. Book it at the next pay-per-view. Well, not Survivor Series though, but book it at the December pay-per-view. We did not need this match. This was a waste of time. Asuka won the match by disqualification because Bayley ended up hitting Asuka with the chair on the outside. Post-match, Bayley ended up delivering another shot to Asuka's back. And then suddenly, Sasha then appeared. Sasha was still wearing the neck brace. She ended up nailing Bayley over the back with a chair. Sasha ended up kicking Bayley in the face. Started being on Bayley at ringside. Bayley ended up grabbing Sasha, brought her into the ring, and she ended up yelling at Michael Cole. Bayley ended up sliding a chair in, and she then brought a kendo stick also into the ring. Bayley ended up standing the chair up, and she ended up grabbing another chair from the corner. So Bayley was stalking Sasha. So Sasha then ended up grabbing the kendo stick, and she ended up unloading it on Bayley. Sasha was beating Bayley around the ring with the kendo stick. Bayley then crawled for the chair. Sasha ended up stepping on the chair to stop Bayley from picking up the chair. Sasha then ended up grabbing the chair, ended up backing Bayley into the ropes. Sasha ended up swinging the chair, but Bayley ended up retreating out to the floor. And pretty much that was basically that though. But Bayley still continuing to be awesome on WWE television, and this whole feud with Bayley and Sasha is continuing to be, very entertaining. But yeah, we didn't need Asuka versus Bayley. Why was this even booked on the show? This was bad booking by WWE Creative. And then we had the ambulance match for the WWE Championship. Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre. This was a pretty good match. We had at the beginning of the match, McIntyre ended up unloading on Randy Orton. He took control of Orton. Orton ended up fighting back out of the corner. McIntyre ended up laying away with some chops. And McIntyre ended up dropping Orton and yelled at him to get back up. You had also, they end up fighting back, backstage. And we end up seeing Christian. Christian appeared backstage, and he ended up attacking Randy Orton. And this was all in catering backstage. Christian then ended up sending Orton flying over the catering tables. So we had Christian appear there. We had Drew McIntyre end up delivering the Claymore because Orton was on the other door, near the door of the ambulance. McIntyre tried to do the Claymore to Orton, so Orton ended up hitting the door of the ambulance, but Orton ended up moving out of the way. McIntyre delivered the Claymore and knocked the ambulance door off of the ambulance, which McIntyre ended up hurting his knee a little bit. So now McIntyre and Orton were on the hood of the ambulance. Orton ended up raking McIntyre's eyes. Orton then ended up slamming McIntyre into the windshield of the ambulance, and the windshield shattered. So both McIntyre and Orton ended up fighting on top of the ambulance. Orton then delivered a knee to McIntyre's jaw. And we see McIntyre's back is all cut up. It was bleeding, of course, from the windshield. So Orton ended up punching McIntyre. He kept punching McIntyre. Orton ended up stopping at McIntyre's fingers, and he was hanging by one arm. Orton ended up stepping on McIntyre's hand. McIntyre ended up falling to the floor, and Orton then smiled. So Orton then recovered on the top of the ambulance, and he turned around, and we had Shawn Michaels appear on the top of the ambulance. He suddenly appeared on the top of the ambulance, and Shawn Michaels then delivered the Sweet Chin music to Orton. Orton was barely standing. Shawn Michaels ended up shoving Orton off of the top of the ambulance, sending him down to the floor. And Michaels was fired up, ended up doing the crotch chop down to Orton. So McIntyre ended up recovering, and we had McIntyre end up scooping Orton on his back, carried him over to the back of the ambulance, and Orton ended up dropping McIntyre at the back of the ambulance with an RKO. Orton then put McIntyre in the ambulance, but he was trying to close the last of the ambulance door. McIntyre ended up holding it open. So we had McIntyre end up clawing at Orton's eye, and McIntyre then delivered the Claymore to Orton. McIntyre managed to get Orton in the back of the ambulance, and he goes to close the first door to the back of the ambulance. McIntyre then ended up stopping. So McIntyre pulled the top part of Orton's body back out of the ambulance. So Orton was hanging out against the back of the ambulance. McIntyre backed up, and I thought he was going to deliver another Claymore, but he didn't. McIntyre then ended up nailing the punt kick to Randy Orton's head against the steel of the ambulance. So McIntyre then ends up pushing Orton back into the ambulance, slams the last of the ambulance door, and he wins the match. So there you go. McIntyre ended up winning the match, retaining the WWE Championship. So post-match, we had McIntyre beats on the back of the ambulance, which gives it the signal to for the ambulance to drive away. McIntyre goes up to the stage, and he watches. He raises the WWE Championship, and the referee then ends up slapping the truck, the ambulance, and it wasn't moving. The ambulance wasn't moving to get out of the arena. So the referee ended up going up to the front seat to see, what's the holdup? Why isn't the ambulance moving? And all we saw was Ric Flair. Ric Flair was at the wheel of the ambulance. So Flair ended up doing a woo, and then he drove the ambulance away. Sirens were blaring, and so that was that. So all the guys that Orton ended up taking out, Christian, Shawn Michaels, Ric Flair. Oh, and I forgot to mention, the Big Show got involved here, which he ended up slamming Orton through the announce table. So yeah, I forgot to mention the Big Show. We got to see the Big Show on TV once again. So it's all the guys that Orton ended up taking out, the Big Show, Christian, Shawn Michaels, and Ric Flair. They're possibly going to leave Edge until, he comes back maybe at the end of the year. So, but all in all, it was a good ambulance match. Really liked it. I know some people might have said, oh yeah, this match went on for too long. It was dragged out. But I had fun with it. So then we got a promo for Hell in a Cell, which is going to be on October 25th. Oh man, if The Fiend is involved in Hell in a Cell, are they going to fuck him up even more? After last year's shitty debacle with The Fiend and Seth Rollins, where a Hell in a Cell match ended in a disqualification. When have we seen a disqualification in a Hell in a Cell match ever before? Up until last year's shitty match with Seth Rollins and The Fiend. So yeah, I can't wait to see The Fiend be buried once again in the Hell in a Cell if he's involved in a Hell in a Cell match. So then we had the main event. Jey Uso versus Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship. This was a really great match. This match had the best storytelling that WWE has done in a while. I just really loved how the way this match flowed. Roman Reigns was wrestling without a shirt. So there was reports saying that, Roman Reigns is going to go shirtless in this match with his cousin Jey Uso. So, of course, it was cousin versus cousin. But we had the match start. The Jey Uso end up barking at Roman Reigns. They end up locking up. Reigns end up overpowering Jey into the corner. There was a tense stare down from both Jey and Roman. The cousin and cousin went back and forth at each other. Reigns ended up grabbing Jey Uso, and he ended up getting freed to the floor. He was continuing the mind games. Of course, we had, Paul Heyman out there. So there was just back and forth between Jey and Roman, and how the way that was done in this match was really awesome. And you had Jey end up bringing Roman back in. This was later on in the match. Jey ended up flying with the crossbody. Roman ended up kicking out before the 3 count. Jey ended up following up with a super kick. Went for the cover. Reigns kicked out. So we had Reigns end up charging in with the spear. Jey ended up blocking it. Rolled Roman up for the 2 count. Jey then delivered another super kick. And then he went to the top. Delivered a Uso splash, and Reigns ended up kicking out. It looked like Reigns ended up low blowing Jey Uso because the referee didn't see it. So Jey was selling the low blow. Referee ended up checking on him, and Roman was just coughing up Bayley. We had an edited crowd chant of "This is awesome." I'm like, these edited crowd noises are just awful within these shows. So Roman ends up getting up, and then he ends up delivering the spear to Jey. Reigns ends up looking down at his cousin. Jey talked some more trash, and he was saying to Jey, "Look into the camera." And he was holding Jey's head to the camera, and he was telling Jey to tell the world that he is the head of the table. He is the boss, and he is the tribal chief who runs it all. Jey ended up saying, "Oh, not today." So Roman ended up getting back to his feet. Paul Heyman on the outside was praising Roman, and he was calling him the tribal chief. "You are the tribal chief." And Reigns ended up telling Heyman that he doesn't need him to tell Roman. Paul Heyman doesn't need to tell Roman that. So he ended up saying that he needs Jey to acknowledge all this. So Reigns ended up mounting Jey with lefts and rights. Charles Robinson, who was refereeing this match, was trying to get Roman off. Roman ended up getting up. He ended up shoving Charles Robinson a little bit. He was talking trash to Charles Robinson. Roman was threatening to knock Charles Robinson into next week and out of a job. So Roman here, him being this heel. He's knocking it out of the park so far. I think this is the best Roman Reigns is ever looking on WWE television. Remember those 5 years that WWE had built up with Roman? They were absolutely terrible. The fans were tired of seeing Roman, and I remember, hating the hell out of Roman, being like, oh, this guy, WWE shoving Roman down our throats. And the guy had go away heat. And it's not, the boo, boo, you suck kind of heat. This was actually go away heat that the fans didn't want to see Roman on TV. And you all remember, of course, the Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania 33, where he got booed the hell to start off Monday Night Raw, which was one of the best moments of that Monday Night Raw, where everybody literally hated the hell out of Roman after he defeated The Undertaker at WrestleMania, that WrestleMania 33. So, but in my opinion, this is WWE booking Roman good right here, as what we saw, tonight, and how they're going to handle Roman's heel turn going forward. I just hope WWE does not fuck this up. They got something going here with Roman, and they are doing a good job with it so far. And what we saw in this match here was great. It was good storytelling here. It was good TV here with Roman and Jey Uso, this match. So Jey, going back to the match, Jey was down on the mat. He was struggling to breathe. Roman ended up mowing at him again. He was yelling at Jey to acknowledge him. So Roman was then unloading with more strikes while he was on top of Jey. Charles Robinson checked on Jey once again. Roman, of course, was angered still. Reigns ended up saying that he's been whooping Jey's ass like this his whole life. So Reigns was still continuing to destroy Jey on the mat. And then we see Jimmy Uso. Jimmy Uso ends up coming out. He was limping down the ramp. Jimmy ended up grabbing Jey's arm, and he ended up telling him that he's going to throw in the towel. Jimmy had a white towel in his hand. So Jey ended up telling Jimmy, no, forget this fool. So Reigns ended up telling Jimmy to come in the ring and acknowledge him as being the head of the table. So Jey was constantly pleading with Jimmy to not throw in the towel, but Jimmy ended up wanting the towel to be thrown by how Jey looked in that condition that he was in, with with Roman beating the hell out of him. So Jey ended up telling Jimmy, no, don't throw in the towel. Reigns ended up continuing to taunt both Jey and Jimmy. Reigns ended up mounting at Jey again, continues to beat Jey down with left and rights. Jimmy finally had enough, and he threw in the towel. Charles Robinson rang the bell, and the match ended. Reigns kept on being on Jey. Jimmy got into the ring, and he was yelling at Roman, and he was like, "We're family. Stop all this." So pretty much that was that. Jimmy ended up telling Reigns that he's the chief, if that's what he wants to hear. He ended up saying, just leave him alone. Just leave Jey alone. So yeah, that's when Jimmy ended up mentioning about how they're family and that Reigns needs to chill. So Reigns ended up taking the Universal Championship, looks down at Jey and Jimmy, and we saw Paul Heyman ends up bringing in the Samoan lead that Jey wore to the ring, and Paul Heyman ended up placing that around Roman's neck. And so pretty much that was basically how Clash of Champions ended. But Reigns ends up retaining the Universal Championship, which we all knew that was going to happen. But apparently people said, oh, with Roman and Jay, this is going to be a squash match. Roman's going to beat Jay in like 1 minute. But unfortunately, we didn't get that. We got a awesome, good, great storytelling here with these two cousins who are family, and it was just done really well. This was good television right here that we saw in this match. But all in all, I enjoyed it. I like to see where WWE ends up taking Roman's heel turn, as it progresses. Like I said, hopefully they don't fuck it up, because I think they got something going here with Roman. And if they fuck it up, it's going to lead back to people having go-away heat, or the fans having go-away heat for Roman. And they're going to be like, oh, get Roman off of TV. Stop shoving him down our throats. But hopefully WWE doesn't fuck this up. But overall, Clash of Champions was a decent show. And that's it for the review. Thank you all for watching. And be sure to give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe. And until the next video, which will be the Monday Night Raw review, I'll see you all tomorrow night, of course, with the Monday Night Raw review.